I do have to start out with just a thank you to Wildwood. I mean, just Steve and his team. I mean, I visit hundreds of dealers a year, and these guys are just tops. They're the best. But I do have to tell the story about when Steve became a dealer for Premier Builders Guild and all of our lines. I have to tell this story. You know the one I'm going to tell. So I started talking to Steve 2 years ago, and I think we became partners in December, so it's only been 6 months. After a year, I remember my boss telling me, you know what, man, you just have to stop. This guy is never going to come aboard. And I just said, you don't know Steve. He takes his time, very deliberate, and he does it the right way. And I said, so you just got to be patient. And sure enough, Steve and Wildwood are probably our top dealer now. I mean, they're just amazing guys. The whole team, Lance, Troy, all of them. And, you know, and so my hat's off to them. So thank you for everything, you guys. So to my boss, told you so. All right. So thanks for coming tonight, everyone. So as you know, I'm Jimmy Lovinggood with Premier Builders Guild, Roger Giffin. So I'll give you a little background on Premier Builders Guild and how we work. We started out a few years ago, but a little over about 2.5 years ago now. And we started out with B3 guitars. If anyone knows Gene Baker Guitars, I was talking to somebody here earlier who's got a 7-string B1 from back in the day. And so Gene was the start of it. So we bought B3 guitars to begin with. Shortly thereafter was Tone King amps, and then Fano guitars, and then a little bit down the road, 2 Rock amps. The other thing we decided to do for companies we weren't going to purchase was to also work with some very talented designers and letting them design models for Premier Builders Guild that Gene would make in the shop. And that's what we did. Roger is part of that group, Saul Cole, Johan Gustafsson, and then of course we build all the Fanos and that you see in Steve's shop, and 2 Rock and Tone King. So that's how it started and the evolution of it. And so Roger was probably about 6 months in. You were like the last one. You know, these English guys, they move slow. We had to take our time with him, baby him a little bit, and then we brought him aboard. But no, Roger's been awesome. And Gene, I don't want to tell too much of Roger's story. I'm going to let him do it. But there's a connection between, you know, me and Gene. Have known each other since like 2nd grade. Played in bands together growing up, and then Roger and Gene have known each other for a very, very long time. So it's kind of a connection all the way around. But so that's kind of how Premier Builders Guild started, where we're at today. Wildwood is one of our 5 diamond dealers here in the U.S., which means they sell and buy a lot of our gear. So, you know, Fanos and Tone King and 2 Rock and Giffins and B3s and all that, and they're just doing a fabulous job. So that being said, I'm gonna let Roger take it from here and introduce himself, and I'll just keep asking him questions and keep him talking for a little bit. But why don't you just give him your background there, right? Roger knows a few famous people, but you know.
1 or 2. Yeah, well, I've been in the guitar business for rather longer than I care to tell anybody, quite honestly, these days. But I came to America in 1988 to work for Gibson, and at the time it was just me running the custom shop in LA, and I needed someone to come in and help because there was more work than I could handle. So I'd advertised, and that's, this little kid came in. This was Gene. He was dead keen, so I took him on and gave him a bunch of refrets to do just to see what he made of it. And he just rattled through them, and I could see that there was some talent here, so I gave him a whole bunch of other stuff to do, and he just did it. Guy was great, so I took him on, employed him, and the fact that that Gene was working for Premier Builders Guild is the only reason, really, that I decided that I would join Premier Builders Guild, because it scared the pants off me, the thought of having somebody else build my guitars. So I'd never done that before. Like I say, I go back a long way, and I've always done everything myself. And when PBG came along and told me who was building the stuff for them, I just said, okay, if it's G and it can't go wrong. So here I am. So thanks to...
And here we are.
Yes, here we are. So they're building these two models that I designed, which... Oh, there's only
the
one
Valiant's
model. Valiant's not
somewhere
there.
else over there.
Yeah, I mean, I designed this guitar called the Valiant because after I left Gibson, people kept asking me, can you make me a Les Paul? So I had to keep saying politely, no, sorry, can't do that. So there's one.
Yeah, we'll grab this Valiant so you guys can see, because this is kind of the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, I better not get up. I'll have a microphone cord choking me or something. Oh, I know. Steve loved this guitar. So here you go.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so what I basically did with this was to think, okay, what do I like about Les Pauls? And well, I like most of things about a Les Paul, but there were a few things that just didn't work for me. I thought one just doesn't need 2 tone controls and 2 volume controls, so I got rid of it and 1 volume and 1 tone. And I wanted a guitar that some Les Paul player would be comfortable with. So the design of this is it's unashamedly done like a Les Paul, everything about it, except the shape, of course. I just took a Les Paul and kind of blended it with a Firebird and just shoved the body at different angles. So I got that offset look to it and made a real deep cutaway on it. It has a very long neck joint, big thick neck joint run under the pickup there, so guitar sustains well. Straight pull head, so there's no angling on the strings up here. I figure that one might as well eliminate all of the problem areas. Got a contour on the back for those guys that always complain about a Les Paul sticking in the ribs. So the only thing I couldn't do was put a contour on the front and still have the bound front look to it. So it has the edge, but hey, the way it's angled, that's kind of away from you really. It doesn't get in the way. So it seemed to make a lot of sense to do that. And doing away with the tunematic bridge and the wraparound tailpiece. To me, a one-piece bridge is the only way to build a guitar because you just get so much better sustain that way. So I put one of these on to Tone Pros. The less points you got the string touching on, the better the sustain is. So I think they kind of speak for themselves when you hear them play. They really ring. All the guitars I grew up with back in the early 60s were like Les Paul Juniors and Les Paul Specials, which just had the plain simple aluminum wraparound on it. So I knew that those things worked and sounded great. So, but you couldn't intonate it to save your life. So this solves all the problems. Just a good out and out rock and roll guitar. It's nice and simple to play. Feels comfortable to anyone that's played a Les Paul. Real 50s neck on it. So anyone that's picked up an old Gibson will pick that up and go, oh yeah, I recognise that shape. That's my default neck shape. All these are built by Gene's guys down in California, and Gene picks out the right wood. I kind of told them what I want it to be, and they pick out the right pieces. Looks damn pretty. It's what I would make if I was still building these, which I'm not. This would be what I would build. Great guitar, isn't it?
And what's great about it too is it's balanced so well. Because the first time I saw this guitar, I remember thinking, just with the shape, is it going to be a little like top heavy, or it was just. I thought oh man, I love the look, but I'm not sure it'll balance well. But so try it out. When you get a chance tonight.
Yeah, it actually sits really well.
It's really balanced.
Moving the waist forward puts the weight back that way further, so it goes that way every time. So hang it on a strap or put it on your knee, it'll always go neck up. So you'd never have that neck heavy feel.
We don't have it plugged in, but I think, Troy, didn't this come with the Giffin bender?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, so Troy's gonna.
Yes, it's a special device. It's unique.
Yeah. He's gonna demonstrate that in a little while for you guys. So just remember the Giffin bender. We'll get to that in a little while.
And what scale did you choose for?
24 3/4. So I mean, I've kept everything on it very much in the Gibson vein. partly because it's what I knew best. And I always, you know, I mean, I love Strats too, but I mean, I always found that it's just a bit too much of a stretch for me. I mean, not that I play anymore, but I mean, when I did, I had Strats and I never felt comfortable with them. I always felt better with a shorter scale. It's a little less sustained perhaps, but you know, having this the one-piece bridge kind of compensated for all of that. So, you know, it just felt like the right length. It's got, you know, it's a 12-inch radius board. So everything about it is borrowed from what I knew from.
And
You
what
know.
about finish?
These are all urethane. Some of the Victor models are done in lacquer, which are distressed, or you know they're urethane and the high gloss finishes on those. But these, it's a thin coat finish. It's not you know, it's not a heavy finish on these things. It doesn't feel like, you know, typical Japanese guitar or something, you know, which a lot of people just don't like, that kind of encapsulated feeling about them, but it just doesn't look like that. It doesn't feel like
finish
it.
does look thin on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Sitting out here.
Yeah, I mean, the finishes are just faultless. You know, they're beautiful. I'm deeply impressed.
Well, Gene has a certain philosophy on the finishes and the urethane and the thickness of the finish. So, you know, the great thing about Gene building these guitars is, you know, it's a player building a guitar.
Exactly,
And
yes, yes.
he's just a phenomenal player, and he builds it the way he wants it to sound, and, you know, with, of course, the design of the builder. So it's a really good combination having Roger and like Gene work together, Saul Cole and Gene, and all these guys working together. It's a concept that's really worked, you know, that was thought up by my bosses 2.5 years ago, and it's really,
Oh, it works.
It really works.
It does work. We all go down to the factory every now and again and go.
they go for the free food and drink. Don't let them fool you. But.
Oh, okay.